So you want to hear my story, huh? Well, it's not a good one, I'll tell you that. Welcome to my city, which used to be a good one. You know, it wasn't always like this, you know. We all were young men who actually looked pretty great. Until we didn't. And I'll tell you my story and why. I was once a young officer, happy to go to the war. Like many others. Though I would end up remaining a hero, but not for very long though. Like many other young men, I had been young, impressionable. So, for a good wartime stories, for the fatherland of the German Empire, I decided to go to war. The train left the station that very day, into the darkness. Hardly did we know many of us would not be coming back. On the 6th of April 1917, I finally arrived at where I would be staying and stationed. Cows grazed the field. Like beauties in the night. It was nearly surreal. Almost amazing. Yet, with people playing cards and more, we all were just happy, but didn't understand what was to come. But then the artillery shells started to fall. That's when we knew maybe this would be worse than we thought. So, we charged on anyway. I watched the other soldiers and started to open fire for their, Then I realized I had no ammo. I watched other young boys around my age attack, giving cover fire. But after that battle, things would change, because I didn't feel the same anymore. On the 30th of September 1917, we stood. We hadn't lost complete morale, but we were definitely, well, traumatized from the last battle. Men started to miss their families from being away for so long. We also started to get muddy trenches. Yet, we were all still pretty happy. Though our trenches were muddy, which gave us, well, disappointment. Then we waited for our attack. Then the shells started to fall. Once more. We knew we were on defensive right now. Then the Americans started their charge. They continued to raid our trench. Young American men fell. More and more continued to fall and charge. They continue to fall and charge as we just tried to fend off. It was currently our only plan, just to fend off. And it seemed like it was working. But as shells fell, created more of a problem. Yet, they continued from their trenches. Yet, we fended them off. With the last shell falling. The 2nd of October, 1917 was, well, a rough year. Mainly because this was when, well, rain and mud and more started to fall. And it was cold. We were demoralized, yet we had won the last battle. Yet, it just so seemed to be. That our men would continue to fight until the very end. Then, eventually the time came where we were getting ready for the attack, and then it came. The first shell fell. That was our signal to start going. Many of our men didn't even start to get going, because most of us are scared to get going. Yet we prepared for our attack and charge. Climbing up and getting ready was, well, yeah. By this point, we had gotten used to the whole just stay. Stay and try and survive rule. Yet, I retreated back to the trench. Because I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I started to open fire on other Americans trying to, who decided to poke their heads out. Yeah, of course, we were charging, so there's no point. With the last shell fallen, we had done our duty, and would continue to fight. It was now the 21st of February, 1918. We were on defensive this time. Theo had been injured in the attack. Hubert had also been injured, yet we continued to fight till the very end. Bodies were green, but I stood on machine gunner duty. I put on a gas mask, hoping. Then, as we continued to wait, the first shell followed. Now we were demoralized, yet our morale was still good. Yet we waited for the Americans to start attacking. And then Some brave fighters continued to fight, even though they had clearly lost this war. Yet it was clear we had no, our shell fell. It was now the 9th of September, 1918. At this point, well, we were going to attack the Americans because they had, well, raided our trenches. Well, it was time. Having been here for many, many years at this point, but we still continue to fight. As we said, we would fight till the very end. The shells started to fall once more. Due to the new use of gas, we put our gas mask on. Now it was time. Five seconds to charge. 2. Then our charge just started. I started cover fire from the other soldiers. Many of the dead bodies had turned to skeletons by this point. Though as I left my position, I continued to fight. Or at least wanted to continue. Yet it was so traumatizing that, well, really, this would be a death sentence. Yet machine gun fire also started once more. Then one day, the shelling stopped. The battle was over. We waited for the American attack. This clearly wasn't a place for men. This was a great place for the crazy, and the brave, and those who wanted to die. As the machine gun is loaded, we knew we were gonna have to play defensive once more. Then shelling started once more. As shelling started, we prepared for their attack. This wasn't even a place for the brave. This was just a place for the crazy. Finally, we returned home. We returned to a wrecked town with, well, nobody. Nobody at all. That was when we knew. We had survived a war that, well, nobody could survive if they tried. But at what cost, in the end? We won, but at what cost? The lives of millions of young men.